My meeting with Chairman Kim was honest, direct, and productive.
When you see Donald next time, can Donald say hi to me and say, Denzel, I would love to shake your hand?
1, 2, 3, oh, that's how democratic it's gonna be.
A federal judge has approved AT&T's $85 billion bid to acquire Time Warner, the owner of CNN and, full disclosure, the channel you're watching right now. The judge didn't buy the government's argument that the takeover would lead to higher bills and fewer choices. The decision could open the door for similar takeovers. In a deal with Greece, the Republic of Macedonia will change its name from Macedonia to Severna Macedonia, which just means North Macedonia, settling a decades-old dispute. Once both countries have approved the change, Greece has promised to stop blocking its neighbors' attempts to join NATO and the EU. Massachusetts is accusing the maker of OxyContin of illegally promoting opioid use. The lawsuit against Purdue Pharma goes farther than those filed by other states, seeking to hold 16 current and former executives personally responsible.
Their strategy was simple. The more drugs they sold, the more money they made.
A few hours ahead of the Trump-Kim summit, Ivanka Trump tweeted what she said was a Chinese proverb, except it doesn't appear to be Chinese or really a proverb. And it's not the first time Ivanka's made this mistake. Confucius never had any thoughts about your dream job. Just before 2 p.m. Singapore time, President Trump and Kim Jong-un signed the document formalizing their agreement. North Korea will work toward the complete denuclearization of the Korean peninsula. Trump committed verbally to stop holding military exercises with South Korea. The hard part, the details of what denuclearization actually means, still have to be worked out in later negotiations. But still, it was a huge day in diplomatic history. And for all the years of acrimony between the two countries, it was a surprisingly friendly one.
It had to be pretty head-spinning for America's allies to watch the president say glowing things about the notorious dictator sitting across the table from him today.
My meeting with Chairman Kim was honest, direct, and productive. Very smart, very good negotiator. And I think the meeting was every bit as good for the United States as it was for North Korea. But I think he wants to get it done.
To be fair, being nice to your counterpart can be a key part of negotiating. But even after the meeting ended, the president also used his hour-plus-long press conference to put more distance between the U.S. and its traditional allies.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Remember how Trump blasted Prime Minister Trudeau after Trudeau complained about the new American tariffs?
Because Canadians were polite, we're reasonable, but we also will not be pushed around.
When I asked Trump about Trudeau today, he basically threatened Canada. Mr. President,
Go ahead.
Is your relationship with Mr. Kim stronger right now than it is with Mr. Trudeau?
No, I have a good relationship with Justin Trudeau. I really did. Other than he had a news conference that he had because he assumed I was in an airplane and I wasn't watching. He learned that's going to cost a lot of money for the people of Canada. He learned you can't do that.
After that, Trump went on, unprompted, with his favorite gripe about Germany, that it doesn't pay its fair share for security.
I have a very good relationship with Angela Merkel, but on NATO, we're paying 4.2%. She's paying 1% of a much smaller GDP than we have.
The press conference wasn't the victory lap that Trump was hoping for. He had to play a fair amount of defense, including about Otto Warmbier, the American student held prisoner by North Korea and who died 6 days after his release last summer.
The man you met today, Kim Jong-un, as you know, has killed family members, has starved his own people, is responsible for the death of Otto Warmbier. Why are you so comfortable calling him very talented?
Well, he is very talented. Anybody that takes over a situation like he did at 26 years of age and is able to run it and run it tough. I don't say he was nice or I don't say anything about it. He ran it. Very few people at that age, you can take 1 out of 10,000 probably couldn't do it. Otto Warmbier is a very special person, and he will be for a long time in my life. His parents are good friends of mine. I think without Otto, this would not have happened.
Today was one of those vintage Trump push and pulls between something that's very normal, wanting to have a better relationship with a country that threatens us, and something very not normal, lavishing praise on the dear leader to make that happen, and stomping on the Western alliance in the process. Trump's supporters would again say, get used to his nonconformist style because it's getting results. Trump critics would say, when the president of the United States confuses his friends and his enemies, it makes the world more dangerous for America.
Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
Mr. Rodman, are you meeting with Kim Jong-un?
But this meeting would have happened without you. Were you part of it?
I think that I brought awareness to a lot of things around the world.
That's okay.
And I think North Korea has gave a lot of people opportunity to do this conference now. And I hope it's a success. Doors are opening.
All right.
So,
back again.
Well, you know, who knew this was going to happen 5-6 years ago?
I'm going to transfer you over to Ms. Sanders right now. Hold on a moment for me.
Hi, Ms. Sanders. It's a pleasure to be speaking with you this morning.
It's got to be on father correct.
I'm here. I just want to say you're doing a great job, and I have Dennis here with us right now.
Kiss it ass.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yep. Hello.
Hi, Dennis. This is Sarah Sanders. How are you?
What's going on?
Well, I just was calling. I know the president had seen some of your comments over the last several days and just wanted me to reach out and thank you for some of the positive things you've said and appreciate you being helpful in this process.
Thank you very much. It's, you know, it was my intention in the beginning of this whole situation as far as like being connected with North Korea. But it seemed like it turned out to be a very, very important event today. So I feel like that I had to be a part of it.
Thank you. I know he appreciates it. And again, we appreciate your support, you being here and being so vocal about it. So I just wanted to call and pass that on.
Okay. When you see Donald next time, can Donald say hi to me and say, Dennis, I would love to shake your hand?
Yeah, I'll pass that on. Today might be a little crazy, but we'll try to do something when we get back to the States.
All right, honey. Thank you very much for having me here.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Well, the secretary of press or whatever that was? I don't know. She said something nice, huh?
Sarah Sanders. Yeah, it's not a bad way to start the day, is it?
The president's loving the fact that you give him credit. Oh, really? Give me some fucking credit.
Dennis Rodman from NBA. Yeah. Welcome to Maxwell Food Center.
We became friends like right away. I mean, really just like that.
You and Kim Jong-un?
We just clicked, you know, we were singing karaoke one night and we just started, we just had a blast with each other. I've been knowing this guy for all my life, seems like.
Like, what was your impression of him? Was he a fun guy? Was he
He was a fun guy.
Weird guy?
We had a couple of drinks together and everyone was just having a blast. Like, it's like going to a karaoke bar.
Does he drink a lot?
Nah.
What kind of stuff do you talk about with him?
Just life, sports, coming to America, going to a game. If Trump wants to take the credit for all this possibility that's going to happen for the world, take it. Just acknowledge the fact that, you know, somebody had to open someone's eyes to see what really going on in the world. So I was that guy to open eyes and they follow through with it as far as like giving people the knowledge that we can maybe work together.
You say you don't want to take credit for what's going on, but I mean, you are here in Singapore, so clearly a little bit of you wants to take some credit for that.
Those two individuals that did that today, that's between those guys. And, you know, we just need to support it. If we don't support it, I think we have another battle we have to fight now.
Why didn't President Obama listen to you? Why didn't the previous administration listen to you when you came back with this?
No clue. He just wouldn't listen to me at all. I mean, he was just so, you know, trying to be the first black president ever and da-da-da-da, and so shit like that. Thought he was like, you know, the king creole, the master fucking show. You know, he wouldn't listen to me. I begged him to talk to me. I said, I just want to talk to you. Bring me to the White House. Let's talk. Sit down and talk. He won't give me time of day, which It doesn't matter. Trump is Trump. Trump is Trump. If you heard that he won the Nobel Peace Prize,
I would be shocked to my core.
You'll be shocked like a motherfucker. You'll be shocked as hell, right? You'll be shocked. And don't be surprised he probably win that fucker too just because of that. Just because of that sit down.
Do you think you deserve an award for your involvement?
Yeah, I do. Yes, I do. The Nobel Peace Prize.
You think you deserve the Nobel Peace Prize?
Oh yeah, come on, man. It's just growing. It's getting bigger and bigger. Yeah, I deserve that. Give me that. So I'll take that.
Are you talking to the camera because you think if you put it out there into the universe that it's going to come back to you?
It's going to come back to me, right? Yeah. Nobel Peace Prize.
By the time President Trump gets home from Singapore tomorrow morning, he will have logged 40 hours of flight time and nearly $6 million in taxpayer-funded airfare. Air Force One costs $142,000 an hour to fly, according to a recent Air Force estimate, and it's a pretty nice way to travel. Both executive jets that serve as Air Force One, modified Boeing 747-200s, offer the president a private office that doubles as a bedroom and a full conference room. Cabinet members and staff sit in first-class seats arranged around tables, each with its own standard and secure telephone. Farther back are special cabins for security staff and traveling reporters. The two planes have been flying since 1990, meaning they're 2 years shy of their planned 30-year service life. And now the Air Force wants to replace them with the larger, newer 747-8 at a cost of $4 billion. A month before his inauguration, President Trump found out about the plan and publicly threatened to cancel the project. But he backtracked. And Air Force budget documents filed in February show that the price hasn't changed. The reality, experts say, is that there isn't much you can do about the cost of a replacement.
I think there's this sort of image that, well, maybe we can save on the shag carpets or on the gold-plated faucets, and that, of course, is complete nonsense. It really comes down to having it communicate with global commanders in the middle of a nuclear war.
The planes are built to serve as flying command posts that can survive a nuclear exchange and keep issuing orders. That's the real expense, and it's one that most other world leaders can skip.
You know, there are only a couple of other nuclear powers out there. People mostly just have a single-aisle jetliner or a business jet for their top executive.
President Trump will have to wait a while for his new ride. The replacement jets aren't expected to be ready until 2024. There's a consolation prize, though. The new fleet of presidential helicopters is slated to be delivered by 2020.
Hello, I'm Mark Eves, running for governor.
I'm Betsy Sweet, and I hope on Election Day you'll vote for me, Betsy Sweet, as number 1, and for Mark Eves as number 2.
I hope that I'm your first choice and Betsy Sweet is your second choice.
1, 2, 3, oh, that's how democratic it's gonna be.
What you just saw is a campaign pitch unlike pretty much any other in the country.
Okay, let's do it. See who's eating burgers.
Go bother people at lunch.
These two candidates are opponents in today's 7-way Democratic primary for governor of Maine.
I'm Betsy Sweet. I'm a candidate for governor.
Mark Eves, candidate for governor as well.
So we're trying to do something different. I think first in the country, right?
First in the country.
To have two competitors, right, working together. Well, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for
Best of luck. Enjoy the rest of the weekend.
But the state is trying out a new voting system called ranked choice voting, where voters get to rate all of the candidates in order of preference.
Typically, you have campaigns that are going negative with each other and really tearing each other down. We're deciding to run a positive campaign. I'm asking my supporters to support Betsy as the number 2 choice, and Betsy is asking hers.
You can vote for both of us.
Here's how it works. Voters rank their candidates in order of preference on the ballot. If none of the candidates gets over 50% of the first choice votes, then the last place candidate gets knocked out. And everyone who voted for that candidate as a first choice gets their subsidiary votes activated and distributed. If that helps one of the candidates get over 50%, then the election is over. If not, the process continues, knocking out the last place person and distributing the other ranking choices until someone gets a majority.
Last year, my brothers and sisters...
Eves, the state's former House Speaker, and Sweet, a progressive lobbyist, are underdogs in the race. So teaming up in a ranked choice primary may be their only option if they hope to win. Is this just an acknowledgement that you're not in the lead and you're trying to get in the lead?
So we don't know if we are or not. The polling has been that Janet Mills, the current Attorney General, has always been in the lead. And I don't think that's disputed at all. It is a reality, 7 Democrats on the ballot. Nobody's gonna get 50%. You need to court second and third place votes.
But just days out from the primary, even some of their most engaged supporters were still a little lost.
Is it true that we could end up with 2 Democrats running or 2 Republicans running?
There will be 1 Democrat and 1 Republican after June 12th when we know what the results are.
What do you say to the people who say just vote for one person?
What I'm telling folks is vote for as many candidates that you think would be a good governor.
Once your candidate is eliminated, you're out.
Again, one of the promises of ranked choice voting is that it's more choice. Your ballot will count in multiple rounds if you participate.
Supporters of ranked choice voting say this promotes more moderate candidates and more positive campaigns. But that's not quite how it's worked in Maine. For one, the 2 Democratic primary frontrunners, Attorney General Janet Mills and Attorney Adam Cody, have been going after each other pretty aggressively.
What do you think, Don? When will we know?
And Eves and Sweet are proudly running as the most liberal candidates in the race.
Do you think ranked choice voting would allow progressives generally to get ahead in the Democratic Party?
Yes.
Why?
I think it just opens it up. And so I suppose it would help a really conservative candidate as well. There's the sort of trajectory, you run for this office, and you run for that office, and you run for that office, and then you're the nominee. What this does is say, you know what? It's really about ideas, it's really about policy, and you can have a different way of doing this.
Ranked choice voting has been used in a handful of municipal elections in the U.S., but this is the first time it'll be used statewide. And for Maine, it could be the last, because today, when voters pick their candidates using ranked choice voting, they'll also decide whether to keep it intact for the future, or return to the normal way of electing people.
Today, the United Nations is observing a World Day Against Child Labor, calling attention to the more than 160 million children who spent the day working. Nearly 11 million of them live in the Americas, and in Bolivia, thousands work at one of the world's most dangerous jobs.
Richard is 15 years old. He's been working in the mines since he was 10, hand drilling the rock and carrying the ore outside. Richard says he wants out of the mining business.
En la mina no hay con quién hablar, no hay donde ir a ver o a jugar, no hay compañeros, no hay nada.
But the job helps support his 6 siblings.
¿Y cómo te parece, doña Ana, que él trabaja en la mina y eso?
Con lo que vivimos así de bajos recursos más y por ese trabajo. Sí.
Mining plays an important role in Bolivia's economy. In 2016 alone, mineral exports generated more than $3 billion in profits. It's a giant maze of rickety tunnels with no ventilation system. And despite nearly 130 collapses, manual detonations are still used to dig deeper.
Yeah, the tunnels keep on getting narrower, and they tell me that that's why they use kids. Children obviously can move around here much easier.
Richard is just one of thousands of children who work in the mines to help their families.
Como somos así hartos, no alcanza mi mamá nomás y mi papá nomás, y a mis hermanos menores tengo que ayudarles.
Even though Potosí produces more than 75% of Bolivia's minerals, its miners remain among the poorest workers. Since 2011, silver prices have been dropping, and consequently, so have the miners' salaries.
Cada día pagan 100 bolivianos y a la semana salen con 500, 600, así.
It's not just the little they make. Local NGOs say that on average, 14 miners die each month from accidents and a lung disease known as silicosis.
Actualmente he trabajado más o menos casi unos 29 años, ¿no? Sí, yo también ya tengo problemas en los pulmones, ¿no? En ese tiempo va aspirando mucho polvo, mucho humo de dinamita, ¿no? Y eso con los años se va acumulando en los pulmones.
Hay muchos amigos ya que están enfermos. Don Julio, por ejemplo, el Alipio.
Bolivia's Minister of Mines admits there is still a long way to go in terms of improving conditions for miners and regulating the amount of children that work in the mines.
Es una deuda pendiente que tenemos que resolver. Yo te entiendo perfectamente. Es que, mira, no tenemos un control en la actividad productiva minera. ¿Quién del Estado está presente ahí? Nadie, absolutamente nadie.
God damn it, this is great. Welcome to Dad Opinions, starring John Darnielle, the dude from the Mountain Goats. Now, I get to hear some death metal. I'm very excited for this. How close? It's close enough. Well, that's really good. It sounds so much like Circus Lupus. You might have seen me mouthing words that weren't in the song. And those words were, I never felt so sick in my whole life. If you remind us of Circus Lupus, you get your B+. Right? And oh no, what's happening now? This is so good. So this is an 80s pastiche. There's something about dredging up things from the past that automatically is a little wistful. It reaches me exactly at some lizard brain level. Well done, Video Age. You made a person who was there for the first wave of that style of music want to cry.
I must have been.
That was fine. Club, radio, summer, track, you can't say that was fine. I mean, it's like if you sleep with somebody and then you're dumb enough to say, hey, so how was that? And they say, that was fine. You know, well, then you know that it's time for you to jump out of the building. Who was it?
Chromeo.
Well, Chromeo, that was fine. This is fine. Yeah. Oh, I really like this. So this is a message of feminist empowerment in halftime. Messages in popular culture that spread that gospel are really important. I would like to hear more things like that on the charts.